Hi, hello. This is Mark Dockers, product lead for Lorelink, here with another Twitch stream. We are yet again here to talk about um, Fallout. Oh, camera. That is a great picture. I love it. It's perfect. It just I'm horrified by the camera. It works out perfectly. Ah, camera. Why? Why camera? Why? Alright, can I just deactivate and reactivate it? Does that work? No, I think I have to unplug it and reactivate it. Ugh. Alright, checked everything else. I didn't check uh, the camera. I don't know why. Maybe I need to replace this camera. Maybe it's becoming a toaster oven. There we go. Thank you for focusing. Hair. Decent. Okay, so I'd forgotten about the camera, so I will need to. I'm glad that my moderators are on grabbing those screenshots of me. All right, let's get rid of this thing. We don't need this PDF quite yet. Let's show what we're talking about here. So we are here today talking more about. I mean, it was a great picture. I don't blame you that much. It was right there. And I'm going to have my squeaky chair. I should replace this chair. It's not uncomfortable. It's really squeaky. I might need to fix it. Maybe I should just get Canon WD-40. We'll see. In any case, back to the topic at hand. Machine Frequency is what we're talking about today. That is the Fallout RPG campaign, basically quick start campaign. Basically it's the little mini adventure campaign, depending how you want to look at it, included in the quick start guide for Fallout the RPG. That difference is basically the difference is important, as we'll cover here in just a short bit, because I'll talk about that in a bit. But we are doing this today because we are planning this out because on Friday of this week, so in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 days from now, we will be playing basically part 2 of Machine Frequency, which will be covering part 2, essentially Act 2 of the Machine Frequency campaign, which in this case is going to see the explorers coming to a kind of sandbox area of the campaign. The first part of the campaign is fairly straightforward, linear. It's intended to give the players a good kind of grounding on some of the basics of the game, like exploration, maybe some scavenging, maybe some and a little bit of combat, skill checks, things like that. All of those are basically at the beginning, and so basically part 2 of it kind of opens it up a little bit more, because like kind of the feel of Fallout is kind of the idea going back to like the first Fallout game. Woo! Thank you, Bull Heymuth, for the gift subscription for 2020 site. And so I am. I heard the alert noise. The alert may have gotten buried underneath. Oh, I'll give my camera one more shot to see if it can't redeem itself, as it's deciding today that it wants to be a bit of a pain. I can also switch to a less good camera if I need to. Video capture device. You're on thin ice, camera. Okay, first thing you have to do is focus. There you go. Thank you. I'm trying to manipulate things behind the scenes. In any case, so part 2. Does this work? There we go. Well, I was just gifted this up to 2020 site. Now the alerts are on top. At some point, we'll have to customize that alert. Move that down. Cool. So, basically, part 2 of this campaign is a more sandbox, more open, basically going back to the original Fallout campaign, where the players are kind of dumped into an experience where they are forced to deal with a bunch of basically you're kind of not forced to deal with basically you're kind of you're given a vague direction. You're given a go here, but you're not really told where things basically where things are on the map. Basically you're just kind of told that somewhere in this area there is some important things that you need. Go look for it, encounter some interesting things, find some things, maybe pick up supplies, maybe pick up other things, and then move on from there. Breaking a note to myself. Things I need to do later. Okay. So basically, this adventure does something similar. The first part is there to teach you a little bit, much like kind of the intro cave and things like that, where you wander out, and then you get kind of stuck into a sandbox area. In this case, the end of the last campaign ended the last adventure session ended with the players basically defending a crashed vertibird they had been asked to investigate and look at, and found it under attack by a bunch of robots who are acting odd. They were acting like they were being controlled, like someone is actually basically controlling them, as opposed to them just being autonomous robots misbehaving or attacking people. And so your contact, basically I have characters for this. Scribe Galen is like, hey, thanks for checking out the crashed vertibird and defending the Brotherhood of Steel. Those robots were concerning, though, and they seem to be being controlled by some kind of signal, and I've tracked the signal down to coming from this, basically being bounced through this town. And we'll give you a town name. It's like, if you investigate that town, you'll not only will probably be able to knock out the repeater and stop future attacks, you'll probably also be able to trace it back to the original source, and find out who is sending these robots out to attack people. So basically, you've gotten a direction. You've been told, go to this town, the town of Bleakford. But you've not been really given where in the town. You're just told somewhere in this town there's a signal booster. Now, players are intelligent. Players are going to figure out relatively quickly that, hey, it's a signal booster, so they're probably going to have some idea of where signal boosters could be in a town. They're going to have certain ideas. They're going to go, let's search here, let's search here. Your job as the overseer, and basically as Fallout calls them, is to make the town feel like it's a full experience. It's not just, okay, you go into the town, you find what you're looking for, you move on. It is to present the town as kind of this location, kind of like when you walk into a town in Fallout, where you're like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff here. What we're looking for could be in any of it. Plus, there could be other interesting stuff just laying around and hiding about and stuff. And it basically carries that risk-reward thing of, basically, we're here on a mission, we want to find X. And so there are certain places that are more likely to have X than others, but not guaranteed. It could be anywhere. And also, if we explore and we poke things, we might get more supplies, we might get more armor, we might get more weapons, we might get cool things that will help us continue on throughout the rest of the adventure. And so your job is, basically, as a GM, is like, okay, how do I make this feel more interesting? How do I make this feel more, basically how do I encourage the party to poke into things and look at stuff? And one of the easiest ways to do that is to make it feel a little bit more fleshed out. So we'll start off with the town of Bleakford here. So I don't have I've got a lot of the child information here, which we'll go into in a bit. But I don't have a lot about the town of Bleakford itself. So I feel like I want to kind of flesh this out a little bit more. So one of the things I did do is I did discover that basically Modifius, in their infinite wisdom, basically they've actually published two Fallout RPG games. The first RPG game that Modifius produced for Fallout was called Wasteland. Um, Basically, it's called Wasteland Warfare, and it wasn't. It was kind of a role playing game. Basically, it was a miniatures game that they released role playing game scenarios for. Essentially, they would be reasons to kind of connect your miniature battles between things. You'd be like, okay, here's a miniature battle, here's a setting for a miniature battle, and then next setting for this game. There's some connective tissue between the two of them that like kind of brings it together. For our purposes, the interesting thing that they gave in there is the fact that they fleshed out the town of Bleakford a little bit more in this module. So this one is available on DriveThruRPG. Unlike the basically, like the Quick Start Guide, it does actually currently it costs $5 on DriveThruRPG. If you are looking at it, I might suggest wait. Basically, if you're really interested and you want to flesh it out, cool. It's $5. It's not super expensive. On the other hand, basically Humble Bundle and basically Bundle of Holding are both sites that you'll tend to see collections like for games which are not super popular. The Wasteland RPG is medium. Basically, it did okay. But you're more likely to see like they're going to bundle a bunch of scenarios and basically maps and other stuff from that game and bundle it in here. And that's kind of basically just a kind of a general tip. Even if you're running just a simple RPG, a simple rather pre-generated RPG. One of the things you can do is a lot of the time, basically, if you want to dress it up, make it more interesting, things like that, a lot of those, basically, other people have done the similar work. You're basically, if it's a pre-generated, pre-made campaign, or even if it is a campaign you're writing which takes place in a known location, like you're playing D&D and you're creating a world, you're creating something, you're playing something on the Sword Coast, for example, or you're playing Pathfinder, you're playing something in Absalom, anything like that. Basically, sites like DriveThruRPG, DM's Guild, Pathfinder Infinity, all of those are great sites for finding things where not only will you find entire pre-made adventures out there, you'll also find supplemental stuff where you'll find somebody be like, hey, I've created this cool little, I went through and I fleshed out this town. I went through and I fleshed out a little bit more about how this city works that's not covered in the books and things like that. I fleshed it out a little bit. And so you can, again, because plagiarism is flattery, and basically as long as you pay them. Basically you can purchase these things and add them to your campaign. And basically add a little bit more, take some of the weight off of yourself of, oh, hey, I wanted to do all this, but I really don't want to sit down and create 600 different little municipalities and things like that for this town. If that's not your thing, some people it is, but you're like, hey, I'm going to go grab this and I'm going to port it in and I'm going to see the adventure hooks they've got in there and I'm going to weave in my adventure hooks into this. And so now I have a town that when my players pick a random door and knock on it, oh, cool, I've got something to throw in there. I've basically, whether it's random charts and tables, whether it is NPCs that you can pull up, basically a hierarchy to NPCs. So when your players complain they want to see the manager, as it were, you have a hierarchy that you can go through. And basically, adventuring, murder hobos is one name for adventurers, but murder Karens might be another one. And basically, they demand that they want stuff and things like that. So basically, all that to say, I found that they had Machine Frequency. Basically, is a wasteland wonderland. Basically, a wasteland. I can't talk. A wasteland warfare game, and so I can pull stuff from it. Like, for example, I can pull in, let's upload a new image here. Add this to my image library. Map. Murder Karens. I mean, how often have players demanded, basically, really, you're going into a dungeon and you're demanding to see the boss of the dungeon. I mean, it's the same thing. You're just a little bit more violent with, the poor goblin NPCs who scream something at you in gibberish and then throws a knife at you, Maps. Fallout. Keyword that. We will stick that in the Fallout folder. Rescale map of Bleakford as a intersection of major roads. It's a small community of homes, stores, and other buildings. And then we click add a file. It says, what file do you want to add? And luckily, given the way how I'm capturing it, you don't have to deal with that. See, we go through a bunch of stuff. There we go. And so we've got this map. This map comes from the book. It's included basically in the miniatures book. Why they included it in the miniatures book but didn't include it in the RPG is its own choice. It's like, no, it's not greenscale, it's grayscale. Thanks. I think I know what I'm talking about here. All right, save that. Or like we'll upload that to your image library. And so now if I want to use this in something else later, if I need another town for whatever reason, I have that image and I can just pull it into wherever. I can just go to folders, Fallout, and I can click back on Bleakford. Gray Skull. DocuSeries when Karen's kill. All right, insert that. So we've got that map. We can save that. And now we've got this a little bit large map, but we've got a map of the area. And so we've got all these areas. And since I've already created all of those locations, I can click on it and be like, Henley Chapel and Cemetery. We'll add that. Water Tower. We'll add that. Slocum Joe's Donuts. Yeah, there's Slocum Joe's. Red Rocket Station. Yep. There's Red Rocket Station. Bleakford Apartments. Irradiated Dump. I don't want it particularly. I don't want it right on top of the word. Put it nearby. Everybody loves the Irradiated Dump. Place where kids love to play. WKAK Radio. And houses. Or neighborhood, as it's called in the other adventure. Alright, and I think that covers all the locations. Is there anything else they added in the RPG adventure they didn't cover on this map? I need to... There's Brisbane Mobile Homes. Alright, where do we want to put the mobile homes? Oh, mobile homes are probably... We'll go back here for the mobile homes. We have the mayor's house as well, it looks like, I think. Decorated house, Slocum Joe's. It's under houses. Okay. That's what it is. Under houses is the mayor's house and all of that, so I don't need to call this out. They also have houses up there, so I've got two different places to put houses. So if I wanted to say that the mayor's house is in one place, I could do that. Let's go ahead and edit that then, just to show you how easy it is to edit stuff. I can come in here and I can move it. Can move it up there. I wanted to, I could go up here and be like, I don't really want neighborhood. Let's get rid of neighborhood. Let's be more specific. Okay, did the game actually have more specific things than just the... No, they didn't. Okay. So, let's go ahead and put the mayor's house here. And we'll just call houses up here. In case I want more info on just generic houses. Which I'll probably want to build out because I don't believe that they're actually built out yet. Neighborhood. I keep forgetting it's neighborhood and not houses. I have to move that off the word so I can see it. Oops. There we go. Awesome. All right. That looks good. Save that. Awesome. So now I've got this town map. I can present this to the players if I wanted to. I could be, oh, there's the mobile homes. They're over there. They were hiding in the corner. Whoop. Let's move them there. Cool. Perfect. Okay. So I can present this to the players and be like, hey, here is basically here's the town. Here's how it looks. Here's how it lays out. And so they could be like, oh, hey, basically the Slickum Joe's Donuts and the Red Rocket Station are right across the street from each other. So it's safe if we split the party and just go across the street, right? Well, we go, you go there, you go there. Or we'll go check out the apartments while you guys go check out the Red Rocket Station. In case your players decide to do that. You can put them wherever you want. They're mobile. You're right. Basically, so... And basically, so you're like, oh, the water tower's a little bit further outside of town, and so we may need to go there as a group. We don't want to split the party that much. You can get a better feeling for how isolated the chapel and cemetery is. You're like, oh, okay, so it's kind of out there. Basically, the houses up here are a little bit more isolated than the houses, the mayor's house and down here. And okay, basically, here's a long walk to get all the way to the mobile homes. Okay, so we've got to actually make the walk to get out there. Okay, so again, basically, this is basically so I pulled this in just so we have a little bit more information about what the town looks like. Basically, so I have a better way of presenting it to the I don't know why Pretzel just gave up. But basically, so we have now a better handle on that. Let's see, is there anything else in the... let's check out the machine frequency thing. Let's see if there's anything else in here that we can pull out and use to... let's go with this. Let's pull this synopsis out because it's a nice... kind of synopsis. Pretzel's on strike of your camera. That camera's working fine now that I've just jinxed it. Cool. So let's go ahead and push this here. Actually, let me do what I need to do, which is figure out where I put that. So line break in here, line breaks in here. Whoop. Move line breaks. Perfect. Move line breaks. Copy. Alright, let's put this in the description, decide what we want to. Let's pull this, and we'll move it into the read aloud. That feels like good information to give them. One horse town along America's old highways. Even before the Great War, Bleakford was in the middle of nowhere and a small population, mostly supported by military families connected to Joint Base Lewiston to the east. So that gives us one other thing. Now we know where Joint Base Lewiston is. If we wanted to put that on this map as well, we could very simply go to edit mode, click over here. We can drop Joint Base Lewiston on there. And now that's on there. Go ahead and save the details we've added. What else is in this? Basically, Bleakford is several miles northeast of Britston Gold. Across irregular, difficult terrain, traveling on Bleakford takes a better part of the day for the player characters. Okay. Out of curiosity, is any of this actually in the RPG? Ah, so it is. Oh, they've got a slightly different version of this. Let's go ahead and copy that in. Remove that. Go. Remove language. Go. Fauna. Cool. I don't know what fauna is repeated. So basically, robot attackers. Basically, and the range booster. Perfect. Okay, they do have this as well. We can add this as well to the description, as it gives you a good setup for how the players transition from the vertebrate crash site to this. Okay, Bleakford is several miles northeast of where it goes across the difficult terrain. Traveling Bleakford will take better part of a day for the PCs and keep a moderate pace. Depending on how long they'll take the coast site and deal to route there. May camp overnight to increase the sense of danger. Obviously, you can add wandering packs of 4 dogs or a pair of mongrel dogs as a wilderness encounter. Alright, do we have the mongrel dogs? Let's check our list of creatures. Let's save that. Make sure we keep that information. Creatures. Okay. We have feral ghouls, protectrons, ibots, and radroaches. We do not have mongrel dogs or feral dogs or just dogs. Okay. So we need to basically, the guide, basically in this case, again, basically, sadly, as much as basically I kind of appreciate the way that basically the Fallout RPG itself is laid out. I like the system. I like kind of the, basically, it's kind of a middle, basically medium difficulty kind of scavenging system, which is kind of cool. It's not really bogging you down in details. I like the basically the 2d20 system. It makes resolutions relatively quick and fun and basically keeps things moving. Sadly, the quick start guide just isn't as well put together. It really is just like twice in this book, in the quick start guide, they mentioned mongrel dogs. They didn't basically, the full guide has the stats for mongrel dogs in it. I say that hoping it does because I believe I've seen it in here. I'm currently going through the full book, quickly pulling basically to the... Where's the bestiary? It's like weirdly in the middle of the book. There we go. Dog. Those dogs don't look good. Those dogs look like they're having a bad day. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Ooh, hey, you managed to not pull the actual picture, huh? I forgot this has a weird glitch where it doesn't pull the image I think I'm pulling. So, oops, stream may glitch slightly. There we go. Crop that. Good old screen capture there when you need it. Pull that, do that. Crop again. And let's crop it a little bit tighter. Just trying to get a good image so I have a useful reference. Alright, rip. Let's just ignore that. We'll just ignore that green. Rather, we'll probably just do this. We'll go ahead and copy part of it so that we can move it around. Whoop. I hear the music. Did I miss something? Okay, the music did just kind of... It's basically... Pretzel likes playing one song. Not quite certain why it's... Is there a button I'm missing, Pretzel? This is supposed to be a playlist, Pretzel. What if I click play all tracks? How does that feel? Pretzel was giving you trouble the other day too? Okay. Well... Can I get you to go to something different? There we go. There we go. I'm sparing you having to watch me play with paint, but I assure you it's the most interesting thing in the world. That's close enough. Doesn't look the greatest, but we'll take it because we're on a stream and we got things to do. We got places to go. We've got campaigns to plan. RPG, campaign, Fallout. As I dump things images. Call you a mongrel dog. So again, alright, so now that we've done that, we've got that image ready. We pulled that out. Let's go ahead and create a creature. I could have done that here. If I wanted to do that from back inside the location itself, I could have just done quick create and done creature. And then do mongrel dog. And it is a level 3 mammal. You know. You didn't know there were levels to mammals. It's a normal creature. I feel like that's kind of underselling it. Like, okay, let's go ahead and show the image here. Let's do an image. Let's do a mongrel dog reveal. Let's go ahead and upload this to Fallout. Mongrel dog description. Keywords. Mammal. Dog. Fallout. Oh, how do we describe this image? Well, let me see here. Let's bring it on screen so you can appreciate it. Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with here. You know, that looks like a perfectly normal dog. I mean, we're far into the future, so backyard breeding has really gotten out of hand, and so a Rustford 4-legged dog down snarling with a out too short. I don't know, is it too short for its nest? Well, basically we'll just go with red eyes, red glowing eyes, and a skinny rat-like with a patchy Rustford. Patchyford. Like tail. There we go. Yeah, you're gonna yell at me because you like that should be 2 words. That should be 1 word. Top it up. Cool. Save that. Upload that because you never know, I might need a ugly-looking dog in the future. That's why we have the image library. The image library is not stuck to one particular campaign. Image libraries do go across your entire campaign. So just because you uploaded it for a Fallout adventure doesn't mean you couldn't use it in your Starfinder adventure later. If you suddenly like, oh, I need a picture to basically kind of give me an idea for this adventure or this campaign or this monster. Basically, that works a lot for like some of your summary ideas, some of your summary images, things like that. We're like, oh, mutant lab and things like that. I want some basically inspiration pictures that I can attach to stuff. All right, the description. All right, let's grab the text for that. Let's just grab this first. Dogs are common across the wasteland. They're one of the few creatures who have not succumbed entirely to mutation as a species. Non-mutated dogs can be found in many settlements. Good old dog meat. As part of domestic pets or guard animals that appear to have the same intelligence and capability as their pre-war ancestors. Not all dogs are friendly, though. Packs of rabid, mutated, and irradiated dogs roam the waste. While there are some rare accounts of friendly mutated dogs, it is more common for you to encounter the creatures as they viciously try to tear you apart for their next meal. These mutated dogs often have patchy or no fur, with their skin taking an almost ghoulified appearance. Alright. If you want to create a mongrel dog, the vicious and mutated version of Manifest Friend, you can modify the dog stats as follows. Replace the mammal keyword with the mutated mammal. Add the feral, aggressive, and immune to radiation special abilities. Okay. So let's grab the base stats and then we'll make the modifications. Okay. How did I have these set up in the other ones? Okay, I can just come here. Okay, I did it like that. That makes sense. So body 5. Now if I wanted this to make this a little bit easier on myself, I could set this up as a template. For some reason, mutated dogs don't have guns ability, which is good, because that'd be kind of terrifying if they did. Body 5. Melee. Guns. Nothing. Other 2. Initiative. Mutated dog is scary enough about guns. Correct. What is that one? Oh, it's initiative 10. Oh, I had HP as 8. Okay. Okay. Initiative is 10. Defense is just 1. Okay. We have 0 for all their damage resistances. They're just a mutated dog. Perfectly normal. Perfectly fine. Red DR 0. Poison DR 0. And again, we're keeping the stats in here. We may use the actual stats in a VTT or something like that to actually run the encounter, but these give us a good idea of when we're throwing things at our players, what are we throwing at them exactly? Are we throwing something big and nasty? Are we throwing something that's like, oh, okay, they're basically they're level 3. They're a little vicious, but they're not terrible. Okay. Let's get that is a. Let's get on a 4. Oh, 4. Yeah. Okay. So this is the attack. That is basically target rate. 4 dice of basically physical damage, special abilities, keen senses. Oops, especially keen. They can detect stuff. And reduce the ability of all their perception tests by 1. Right. Actually, I need to go back and update the fact that they are feral and aggressive. Because I need to figure out what feral and aggressive mean. Glad they told me they're feral and aggressive, but you don't give me a page number for where feral and aggressive are actually defined. It's fine. We'll figure it out here in a second. But they are immune to radiation. So radiation damage immune, because they're already irradiated. They can't get more irradiated. Butchery, if you're feeling particularly weird. You can in fact scavenge off of them if you want mongrel dog meat. Probably not the best food. Decrease mind to 4 and increase body to 6. Okay. Mind to 4. Mind to 4. Body to 6. Okay. Attack. Difficulty 0. Keen senses. That's their attack. I just need to figure out what feral and aggressive mean. I wonder if those are just keywords that describe them. Let's see here. Feral. What all uses feral? Feral. Okay, those are feral. Cool. Ghouls are feral. Okay, nice. Feral. The feral is unadulterated for feral instinct. There we go. that gives us? Basically, essentially just says, hey, they're feral. That means that they don't really have a game plan. They are mostly just hang around. Are you gonna keep playing? Did you finish the song? Told you to play everything. You are not. Good job. We'll just manually advance you. It's fine. Okay. So the mongrel dog is unintelligent, driven purely by feral instinct. Feral NPCs cannot be persuaded or influenced by speech tests. Feral NPCs will move towards the attack nearest enemy. They cannot technically move toward darkness or bright lights or bright noises. Failing that, they simply move around randomly or simply lie down and do nothing. They just, take a nap. Like a regular dog. Aggressive. There we go. And there's the aggressive keyword. Basically, adding on to the feral keyword, essentially says they don't have a game plan, but when they do find something, they are just going to go after it. In case you were wondering. Monologue enters the scene. It immediately generates an action point. Ooh, that's kind of nasty. Action points, for those who don't remember, action points are essentially this 2d20's version of momentum. Momentum is basically found in a lot of other 2d20 systems. It's the idea of the fact that it is something the players can use to keep things moving, to keep to give themselves bonuses. In the 2d20 system, you roll 2d20s, and you're trying to get a basically you're trying to get under basically you're trying to pick my brain is just completely lost how the system works. Like, I had it and then now it's gone. Basically it's been a long weekend. Skill test. Roll 2d20. Basically take your attribute, your skill, and that gives you a target number, and then basically you then set the difficulty. Basically, and you're checking for successes. It's success based. That's right. Okay. Basically, you get a target number. Like in this case, it's target number 8. So you're rolling body plus melee, which in this case is target number 8, because body plus melee. Back when it was an old thing, it was 5 plus 3. Now it is 6 plus 3. So this target number actually goes up to 9. And then you're trying to roll under that number. So higher numbers are better. And you're trying to roll under that number as many of the 2d20s that you, basically as many of the d20s that you roll as you can. By default, you start with 2. You can spend basically action points in this system, momentum in other systems to get additional dice, thus giving you extra chances of rolling successes. Rolling more successes means that you're more likely to have actually get it done. If it's a higher difficulty test, the GM may say, oh, you need, or overseer in this case, you may need 1, 2 successes, 3 successes, etc., etc. So that is how that works. So the action point essentially just says, hey, basically it gives a GM an action point, so it's one more way for the GM to be able to push their monsters a little bit harder, get themselves out of a little bit of jam, be able to pressure the players. A lot of times you can do things where you can say, hey, you can do that, but just so you know, that grants me an action point. And so they're like, oh, okay, it's not an immediate threat. It doesn't immediately do damage or something like that to them, but it puts something onto the table that they're like, oh no, now we've kind of put this sort of Damocles over our heads. And if we keep doing risky things, the overseer is going to keep getting these action points, and eventually those are all going to come home when a monster attacks and suddenly rolls 5d20 to hit you. And he's definitely hitting you. He's actually critting you. Oh gosh, oh no, things go badly. So action points are a neat way of being able to do basically have a little bit of swinginess, where basically the GM could do things that grant the player action points, and the players could do things that grant the overseer action points. Okay, so we have feral. Oh, you're actually wanting to. You're like, hey, what if we actually made that make sense? Let's liven this up a little bit so that it actually looks nicely. Actually, let's increase the text size on that. Yeah. Increase text size. Oh, it's being a little bit fussy about that. Okay, fine. Oh, because it's telling me because I'm probably clicking on the wrong one. There we go. So traits, attacks, and then stats. Both these in order to do that. Music is stopped again. Pretzel is just having a bad day. My face is right there in the camera. It actually lasted pretty long. It lasted basically pretty much 40 minutes into the stream. All right, so hopefully that means if I just take care of this decaf basically and reboot it, yes. Go back in, reactivate it. Hi. Maybe? No. Try again. Is it just giving up? It's like, I'm tired. I've been running for a whole 40 minutes. How dare you? There we go. Hi, I'm back. So, we'll double check that. Basically, everything is just kind of blipping and blopping and falling all over the place. We'll have to basically poke some things and possibly get basically pick up some other stuff to see if we can't get things better shape for the stream. All right, what we're doing, we were misbolding the space instead of the word HP. Cool. I wonder if it's your camera or software related. Yeah, basically, it's weird because it is basically I can see the fact that the camera is still basically the camera still thinks it's working. Basically, it still has the white light saying, "Hey, I am on," but isn't actually basically producing anything. But just killing, deactivating, and reactivating it doesn't fix the problem. If I unplug it and then replug it back in, and then basically deactivate it, plug it, unplug it, plug it back in, reactivate it, it works fine. So, barrel, aggressive, keen senses, and butchery. We'll go ahead and bold those. Butchery, we'll go ahead and make those a little obvious. Cool. Alright, let's save that. Okay. It created the mongrel dog. It's now in here as a level 3 mutated mammal. Alright, so now we can go back to the location we were working on. Oops. Nope, too far. A little behind the scenes stuff in case you're curious about data structures. We will go to locations. And go to the town of Bleakford. And we put some stuff in the description up here. There we go. So 4 dogs are a pair of mongrel dogs. Let's make that just a pair of mongrel dogs. I know there are basically in my game, basically I know we've talked with players and triggers and things like that. And having aggressive dogs is just basically mongrel dogs are going to be just kind of a weird. They're a weird monster type thing that shows up and growls at you and is vaguely dog shaped, but generally isn't considered. A lot of times players won't conceive it as violence to animals, but so basically a pair of mongrel dogs. Now I've linked that directly right there. I can basically, that means when I come in, if I go down here, I can see that in the preview, that's a link. I can click on it, and it's going to take me directly to it during game time, so I can see the stats for that Mongol dog right there. Perfect. All right. All right, let's check through. Basically, we've got basically these encounters here. I know I've updated these as well, so let's go ahead and pull those in, so I have links on those. All right, what do I have under ghouls? I know I added some of the ghouls. I do have a weakened feral ghoul. Cool. So we will do... There we go. Weekends, not weekend. Okay. Weakened feral ghoul. And glowing ones are another one. Did I actually record the stats for glowing ones, or do I need to add glowing ones? Creatures. I need to add glowing ones in. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and use quick create for those. So quick create creature. Glowing ones. I believe they do have stats for... Do they have stats for glowing ones in here? I thought they had stats for glowing ones. There we go. Putrid glowing one. Perfect. Putrid glowing ones. What do we got under the Fallout folder currently for nasty, icky looking things? There we go, glowing ones. Well, we'll go ahead and take that. Insert that. Now we have an image for that. Short description, they are level 4 mutated humans. They are mighty creatures. Things are going to be a little bit more difficult for your standard players. 62 XP. We're going to quickly put some stats in here. Let's go ahead and dump this through. Stats. Body. Whoop. Body, 7, camera, locked. You were doing so well, camera. You were doing so well. Yeah. Cool. Hey! Hey, Wolf Mom. You're just in time to see me twitch a camera. Boom. There we go. We're back. Body 7. Mind 5. You don't mind, it doesn't matter. Melee 4. Much like dogs, future glowing creatures do not care about guns. Anything else is just a 3. Okay, so we're running HP is 22. A whole 22 hit points, which compared to dogs, you can see who had 8. These are a little bit nastier. Initiative is 12. And defense, still not very great on defense. Just a defense of 1. However, they do have some DRs. Physical DR is going to be 1 or 2? 2. Yes, 2. Boop. Physical DR 2. Energy DR is 1. Radiation DR, as you might expect, for something called a putrid glowing one, a mutated human, it's just immune. Don't bother. It's also immune to poison. Probably just because it isn't really processing food or other things as you might expect. Attacks. What we got under attacks here? Unarmed. Unarmed? Okay, it's fine. Scroll down a little bit here. Unarmed. Attack is body plus. What we're doing. Body plus 1, 2, 3 body plus melee. Target number 11. 4 dice. Radioactive physical damage plus putrid. See glow. That's unlikely to be fun. Special abilities. You gonna say naughty plus melee? Yes, they're naughty skills and stats. Radiation pulse. Actually, these we could just pull in via text. Let's just go ahead and grab all of them. Make sure that the line breaks show up correctly. Save me a little bit of trouble in the future. Okay, move line breaks, go. Copy. Good. Paste. And replace all these heal things with actual dots. These is a nasty list of abilities here. Let's pull out any tests so that we can see those. Survival test. I like calling those out, so basically if I'm reading a description, I can pull out the important thing, which is going to be the game. If I'm looking at it for gameplay mechanics, because I'm in the middle of the game, that's something I'm going to want basically to pull quickly, rather than be like, I have to read through the entire thing. It's just be like, hey, what was the DC? What was the test? Oh, it's perception plus survival. Okay, cool. Move on. Just keep going. And last but not least, if you decide to scavenge a ghoul, what do you get? The answer is just 2 pieces of junk. 2 dice worth of junk items. Okay, alright. Featured glowing dead, etc., etc. Cool, cool. Alright, let's save that. Alright, let's just go ahead and link those fuckers in. Alright, let's link those to the same place. I'll remove the name weaken from them, so if I want to make them a little bit tougher, I can. Or I could just treat them the same. Okay, there we go. Tougher glowing ones. Cool, that's saved. Alright, so now we've got all those set up. You can see that we now have those in our table right here. Cool. Basically, so if I roll a die, I roll the d20, I do it, I can immediately just right-click on this and pull up whatever it is to get a quick look at whatever it is to figure out how I want to run it before dropping it into the game, whether I'm running it on a VTT or I'm running it basically in person on a table. Basically, these tables are just going to save me a bunch of time. The scavenging things are another one where it's just like, again, I talked a little bit about this last week. But the scavenging tables just become a lot easier. You're like, oh, okay, basically, here's what you're scavenging. Basically, okay, you've got 2 ammo loot. You got 2 rolls on the ammo loot table. Okay, cool. What's the ammo loot table look like? Oh, it looks like this. Cool. Now I've got all this. I could just quickly say, give me a 2d20, and there'd be like 24, and I'm like, okay, 30 out of 8 ammo. 3 out of 8. 30 out of 8. 38. 30 out of 8? Feels wrong. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but I'm saying it right. There's 38 ammo. And maybe it's 30 out of 8. You know, gun terminology. Non-visor screen. 44, things like that. 3 out 8. Alright. So, basically all that is set up correctly. So, let's make sure we save this so we don't lose anything. We did put all that work into it. Let's not lose it to randomness. Okay, so now we've got the basically kind of the town of Bleakford fleshed out. Basically, the thing that I was just working on, to go back to kind of basically a GMing thing, the random encounter, basically save early, save often. Yep, basically random encounters are an odd thing in games. In a normal campaign, basically a lot of times you'll have situations where they'll be like, you're in a dungeon and you need to roll random encounters every 30 seconds. And the old first ed D&D adventures would literally have you running a clock on your players. It'd be like every five in-game, basically either in-game or real-time minutes, you're supposed to roll a random encounter. And it doesn't matter if they haven't dealt with the previous one yet. Something else wanders in. Basically, those early first ed modules were just meant to be blenders. They're going to kill you. Basically, they are... Basically, if you have a party which likes to sit around and not do things, and basically do a fight, then stop, and instead of pressing on, they stop, they immediately heal for 6 hours, they basically maybe they sleep, they recover all spells, etc., etc. Random encounters are a great way of being like, let's throw a little bit of spice into this. Basically, usually they have a decent scale of stuff. There'll be different stuff, so basically if they keep doing it, they'll at least be seeing different things showing up. They're meant to be, basically, it's meant to be encouragement. It's meant to be just, hey, things are basically going through. Like in here, when you enter a new area, you can roll it, and you can see, basically, you can see stuff out in the distance if the players are smart enough to scout ahead. If they just run into an area, maybe you're like, hey, you're going to run into a pack of feral ghouls or something like that. Oh, okay, now we know we should basically keep an eye out for these things. We should be a little bit more cautious. And then you don't need to push them through combat every time, unless it's a group that really, really loves combat and just wants to run through combat and combat and combat, and that's what they want, that's what they're here for. In that case, cool. Go, basically, you know your group best. Throw these things at them. Basically, kind of let them experience this sort of thing. But otherwise, be sparing with these random encounter rolls. Don't rely on them to fill your session for you. Don't just make a session which is just, hey, I bought this book of random tables, and I'm just going to roll it every time the players do something. I'm going to roll it, and we're going to deal with whatever random fight comes out of it. It's basically, it's less interesting, it's less connected, it can give you the idea of the fact that, hey, this is a dangerous place. The random encounter table can definitely help me encourage players to realize, hey, this town isn't safe. Things are wandering around here. Basically, if you're wandering through, and I roll on the table and be like, yeah, around the corner you can start hearing these noises, these shuffling sounds, as a figure starts to, basically this glowing light starts to kind of come around, basically start to precede something coming around the corner, and the players are like, oh, we need to get going. And they will push on, they'll keep moving, and now they know, oh, okay, this is a dangerous area, we should stop here, we should rest here, we should hole up for the night. And now it becomes an adventure of, oh, hey, how do we hole up for the night? How do we take cover? Basically, and if you're playing a survival type game, that's more interesting. That's the interesting part of the survival horror, is the survival parts of, basically, a lot of the times it's crafting stuff, it's putting stuff together, it's finding a place to hole up for a night, and then testing it against whatever things might kind of show up and shuffle around outside. And then basically you can kind of test them against that, as opposed to, well, you guys are camping for the night, so everybody on every watch, I'm going to roll this random encounter table and something is going to happen. And oh dear goodness, your party basically is just going to be tired of it by the end, if not just killed completely. So they're a good tool for making an area feel dangerous. They're a good tool for encouraging players to keep moving, to be decisive. It can be a good tool for building out a feeling of survival horror in that type of game, but understand what you're doing with it before you just randomly roll on it. Okay, let's see here. So we built that out. It is 6:09, so we do have time to kind of do a quick check through the rest of the things. So we've got the Henley Chapel and Cemetery. So it's going to have some skeletons, etc., etc. If those things are here. Basically tells you what type of thing it is. Nothing particularly interesting here. I may come back to this because this isn't really well fleshed out. Basically, it's all the information they get in the in the thing. But maybe I want to either maybe I'll deliberately not use this area, or maybe I'll throw maybe this might be something where using the random encounter table and the scavenging tables that you can find in here will be useful to be like, hey, let's make this area feel a little bit more interesting. Let's make this area feel a little bit more lived in. Or maybe you leave it completely empty and basically just use it as a paranoia check. Just for, hey, there's a bunch of skeletons in here. Oh gosh, oh no, what do you do? Is it dangerous? Is it not? Do you throw some ghouls or other stuff in amongst the skeletons, or to basically make the players like, oh, okay, we gotta check these things. We gotta shoot the bones to make sure they don't move. Like the old video game thing where whenever you come across a pile of skeleton laying on the floor, you're like, I know that skeleton's going to get back up. I can't damage it now because it's not active yet, but gosh darn it, I know it's going to get up. And you walk past it and it goes, and you're like, oh man, it did get up. I knew it. All right, back to children. So the apartments, basically concrete slab. Each one has a bedroom. Nuka-Cola. We've got the Nuka-Cola vending machine done as a loot thing. So if they want to loot, if they want to scavenge that, they can do that. We've got 4 different apartments in here, which I believe are fleshed out. Basically, well, kind of. A discarded pipe gun lights on the bathroom floor. So we might need to build out. Always have a described dungeon. There are skeletons in this room, the non-animate kind. Well, at least non-animate for now. It always feels like they start off that way, and then they get up and they move. That's a fun bit. We'll go too deep into that, and I think I got the... One of these basically has some, patch of feral ghouls, but I don't have them defined. Let's fix that. Rather than just have them bolded, let's go ahead and fix that. And we can call them creatures first. Creatures. Feral ghoul. These are just feral ghouls rather than weekend. Basically, recently. Got that. Can change that to ghouls so it actually looks correct. Anyway, that's space, so it doesn't look really awkward. Cool. Grilled radroach. I don't think I've defined it as an item, did I? Oop. I have not defined grilled radroach as an item. That's fine, I don't think I need to. I'll look that up in the book if I need it. I don't know how hungry the players are going to be for just munching down on some grilled radroach. You never know. Players are up for new things, trying things all the time. Dump is another place where basically you're random and basically it is. So basically this is a giant, hey, if you want something, if you want a risk reward place, here's your giant risk reward. It's an giant untouched area. However, it's full of radioactive waste, and you've got to deal with that. So you've got this hazard here, which is prevalent. They also have some dogs as well. Let's go ahead and change those to mongrels. Do not roll for a quick encounter in the dump. That's good meaning. Okay. 2 creatures, mongrel dogs. Boop. Yeah, we've got the mongrel dogs right there. Okay, so as you come in, you're going to encounter those. Let's highlight the tests. So we know what it's there. Let's actually bolt it as well, just in tile sizing it doesn't work as well. There we go, that looks much better. Save that. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. Go back up to the parents, children, neighborhood. What do we got under neighborhood? Probably just the mayor's house. Yeah, we just have the mayor's house in there. Okay. Well, just basically, we don't have a read aloud for the mayor's house, so okay. Most by far you've seen and Bleakford stands before you. What was probably once basically expensive ivy cultivated and cared for, intended at great cost, now has over on the front of this huge story colonial style building. Windows, multiple floors of windows, indicates a 2-story building. The what condition the inside is in, you are uncertain. Cool. Throw that in there. All right. We've got those tests in there. Okay, let's go back up to the parents. I'll go back up to the parent again, back to the town, back to children, back to you, Poke. All right, Red Rocket Station. Basically, Red Rocket Stations and Stambles. The coherent Takulat area is Scorched Rack. Okay, nothing is red to fire to the feedback stacks. Thoroughly looted refrigerator. If you expired bags of stack, print of card repair files. Let's go ahead and add the rebel. Okay, and a single roll on the items. Food. Table. There is a 50% chance. What was it called? 75% chance? Sure. Is expired. Okay. Let's keep going. Back to children. That was the rocket station, the radio tower. Okay. There's a skeleton in there. Okay. Do you want to add anything inside of here? Radioactive waste and the insects who live in it. Okay. don't need to necessarily pull anything other than the... Basically, we've got the random encounter table if we really feel the need to put something random in here. Let's go. Let's what type of loot tables do we have? Let's find out. Items. Got armor loot, food loot, beverages loot, ammo loot, foraging loot, and clothing loot. What's on the foraging loot table? Let's do a quick check. That's for foraging for food. Check. Okay. Less likely to be that. Melee weapons loot. Oddities and valuables. That feels good. What exactly is oddities and valuables? Some cats, holodeck player, bunny. Yep, that's perfect. Let's do that. Roll on the items. Oddities and valuable. Okay. All right. Now, basically, the key is, of course, we don't want to basically give them too much of everything. Some things have to be kind of scarce and things like that. Basically, the point of scavenging and things like that in the post-apocalyptic world is you want to make things that they find interesting and valuable and unique and different. You don't want every place to be like, oh, hey, yeah, we could walk into any building in the game and loot it and find something immediately useful and be fine. Basically, it takes away a little bit from it. But on the other hand, basically, you don't want your world to feel empty. You want your world to feel lived in. You want your world to basically, like, even like thoroughly looted players. Your players are like, hey, we want to find something here. They want to spend the time to do it. Give them a reward of some sort. May not be a great reward, but at least something. Like when you're playing in a Fallout games, if you walk into almost anything, any place you go into, you poke around, you look around, likely you're going to find something in it because the game wants to encourage you to keep exploring, to keep interacting with the world. They don't want you to just feel like, oh, hey, I wandered all the way up here and I broke into this thing and I got nothing. I didn't get anything interesting out of this. There wasn't anything interesting here. There was no reason for me to, having done all of this, I chose randomly and I picked wrong. All right, we're just about done here. We went all the way up to the camp. Okay, we're back in. All right. Yeah, we went too far up. We're in the campaign world. I didn't want to go to the campaign world. Okay. Basically, that's why there is loot and other stuff. Let's see. Is there anything else in here? Oh, basically, the Bleakford Hospital Temple is what we had talked about being basically, if you wanted to add something in really quickly when you're designing scavenging and things like that, templates are a great way that you can set things up ahead of time so that if your players are like, hey, basically, let's go find an X or a Y or something like that, you can have some default templates that you've already set up that kind of cover that. You can shift it up, change room locations, change set dressing and things like that. But the basic bones of it are, okay, here's the type of loot I want to be in here. Here's the type of monsters I feel like that could be in here. Here's some random encounter type tables. I've got that already set up so I can have those. Basically, I can have that stuff set up ahead of time, and I could just slap it into a situation, be like, oh, here we go. Here's the hospital in here. Basically, they're like, oh, this town should have had an X or a Y. Basically, let's go find that. And so, like, basically, okay, I can quickly throw that in there, and I don't have to worry about it. It's a great way, basically, of easing your troubles to basically making a sandbox world a little bit easier. If you want a little bit more information on that, just check out last week's stream, and I'll talk a little bit more about where you can find that here in a bit. Let me wrap up with this, though. Frisbee Mobile Homes. They've got rad roaches. We've already did that. Dose of Jet. I've already got that marked out. Perfect. And then last, Slippin' Joe's. Okay. There we go. And that's set up. That's fine. Okay. Cool. All right, that is set up and it is ready to go. And I think I already have the session set up, visiting Bleakford. Cool. So, I mentioned basically, so obviously I've done some work on this already. If you're curious about that, basically you can check out our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel, where this is also streaming, by the way, if you happen to be basically over there. Hi, how are you doing? But we stream our streams over to YouTube as well as over here. Let's get here on Twitch as well, because that way we have an archive immediately available on YouTube, so that you can see the fact, basically, so you can immediately after a stream, if you came in partway through and you're like, hey, I want to see how this started, I want to watch the full thing, or hey, this is part 2 or part 3 of basically a multi-part thing, I want to be able to jump back and see those. Those are archived on our YouTube channel pretty much instantly after the stream ends. I do a little bit of, basically, they're mostly unedited, so you have to deal with me saying the word basically a lot. I apologize. But you can check out the streams and you can see what everything is in there. You can also check out our actual plays and things like that if you want to see what happened last time this group played this. We basically believe you can reduce your words, basically. Yes. But all of those are available on YouTube for you to look at. However, if you're like, hey, I'm interested in Fallout and I want one place to look up all the Fallout, basically all the information about Fallout, and maybe see what other systems, do not turn it into a drinking game. You will not survive it. It will end badly. If you want to see examples of systems and things like that, if you're like, hey, I love Fallout, did they do Dune? Did they talk about Dune? Did they talk about some of the other, basically, did they talk about Star Trek, which is another 2D20 Modiphius system that we've talked about here on the stream? You can check out our examples, system examples page, and that will give you a breakdown by system that will show you exactly what systems we have played, we have planned, we have talked about on the stream. If you go through, click on each of those links in there, it'll take you to a stream summarizing a little bit about what the systems are, and then give you links to the YouTube sub archives of those streams. So you're like, hey, I want to check out, did they do Daggerheart? What did they think of Daggerheart? What did they plan with Daggerheart? Did they play Daggerheart? You can look at those and you can see it. Same with like a bunch of different ones like Blades of the Dark, things like that. All of those are available right there. So it's a great resource for checking those things out. So, all that to say, the big thing, however, of talking about actual plays, you can check out us playing out this campaign, which I've just spent all this time talking about, this session I've planned out of them going into Bleakford and exploring the town of Bleakford. If you want to see just how badly things can go for our party on Friday, starting at noon. I'm going to say noon, and I'm going to be wrong because I'm always slightly off on these things because I get confused between call time and actual start time. It is going to be probably 1 o'clock. That is probably the actual time because call time is 12:30. Okay, cool. Starting at 1 p.m. on 1 p.m. Eastern time, Eastern Daylight Time, still Daylight Time, is the actual start time for the stream. You can basically come by and see the Lorelink players explore the town of Bleakford in the Fallout RPG system. We had a lot of fun the last time we played this, with a lot of chaos, a lot of basically bargaining and other things going on. And so, if you can't catch it for whatever reason, basically we will have like I've just said, the videos on demand will be available on YouTube. Basically, Luna will be a chaos monger running around. Basically, Tony will be practical and probably practically punch things. Basically, Mike is his own brand of chaos, and 20 will attempt to herd cats and keep everybody going in a straight line most of the time. We'll see how well it all works out. Try to keep everyone healthy. Good luck. So that is happening this Friday at 1 p.m. And so you can catch the stream then. If you forget about it, you want something to remind you when we go live, right here on Twitch, there's a cool little button that says follow. There is also basically Galley forward, not straight. Did I just pin something? No, I don't want to pin this. Stop that. Unpin this message. I don't know why. I accidentally pinned it. It's fine. Pushing buttons on Twitch is fun. Speaking of Twitch, if you want to push buttons on Twitch, you can. Twitch, you can basically follow us here on Twitch. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. Both of those are ways that basically YouTube and Twitch will then respectively ping you and be like, hey, did you know this person's gone live? And here's what they've gone live with. Because we have a mostly regular schedule of Tuesdays at 5 p.m. going live. However, we also do things like 1 p.m. on Fridays, during some months, where we do actual plays. We have streams from Mike, one of my other co-GMs here on this channel, co-users of Lorelink, goes live with his cool Pathfinder Quest for the Frozen Flame campaign that he's going through. So you can check that out as well. And if you really like what we're doing and you basically think we're doing a great job, feel free to throw us a subscribe. This is the month of September, so this guy would be remiss in not saying the fact that, hey, subs are cheaper this month, if you're looking to do that. Also, there's the cheapest way to do it, which is what basically 20 just posted into the chat. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, they give you a free Twitch sub to give away every month. So you could choose to basically support various different people, basically, and throw them a free sub, taking money directly out of Jeff Bezos' pockets, who definitely doesn't need it, and giving it to people who are smaller. Hey, thank you, Wolf Mom, for subscribing. Basically, and subscribing with that Prime. Awesome. Thank you very much. We gratefully accept Jeff Bezos' monies. We will take it and do things. We promise we won't spend it on a yacht. That's our promise to you. Is we will not spend basically on the yacht. Also, as 20 has demonstrated, we also give you cool emotes too. You can have dice on fire. We have dice jails. We have lots of cool things that you can get. No, not on a yacht. No one on this game. We will not spend it on a yacht. On the Lorelink promise to you, we will not take your subscription money and spend it on a yacht. And so, the other way you can find out about when our streams are going live, if you're like, hey, I don't want to basically don't feel like following, we're already following, things like that. Another great way of finding out is through our social media accounts. We have a Blue Sky account, we have a Instagram account, we have a Facebook account. All of those, I'm going to get a cup of coffee so I can keep going. If only I drink coffee. Mountain Dew is fine, it'll work out. Basically, so the social media accounts are a great way of basically finding out basically when things are coming out, whether it is development information, whether it is new streams coming out, or just engaging with other people, other like-minded people who are interested in jamming stuff, as we ask interesting questions and basically engage back and forth with other interesting GMs and things like that, because we all have fun stories to tell. Everyone has basically a cool GMing story when something blew up, something went wrong, something went right, something got out of hand, or just cool worlds we're building. So that's a great place to exchange and interact with people and discuss those things. If you're like, hey, social media is kind of a trash fire, I don't want to deal with that. Do you have another way for me to find out? We do. Basically, we have newsletters, which are an easy way of getting all that information condensed down into one single month, and basically every once a month we will send that to you, and you can just read through it, and then you don't have to interact with anything other than reading a piece of email once a month, and it's got fun pictures. So it's a great way of being able to keep track of things that way. You can sign that up right there at that link. And as the bot reminded me, basically all of the stuff that you've seen me messing around with here on the stream, with the exception of map hotspotting, that's the one thing that's not in the free tier, is available. We do have a free tier of Lorelink, which is available to the public right now. You can go to that link that just popped up about the world, basically about the free world tier, sign up for a free world tier, and be able to start creating campaigns today in Lorelink. If you do, drop us a note. Just give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. We really appreciate hearing from people how they're using Lorelink and what they're doing with it. All right. That is, I think I've covered everything. The usual conversations, free stuff. Basically, we have free stuff. You can give us free stuff from Jeff Bezos. You can basically follow us on social media and things like that. And we'll be back here on Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to see us play through Fallout and explore the town of Bleakford. All right. Have a good week and hope to see you all on Friday, those who can make it.